Welcome to Becoming Astrology. I'm your host and astrologer, Heather Reeves. In our fourth episode, we will discuss the astrology for the week of June 26th to July 2nd, 2023. We have a first quarter moon in Libra, and Mercury moves into Cancer for 2.5 weeks. Neptune goes retrograde until December 5th. Some weeks feel more challenging on planet Earth. This is one of them. We are in Earth School after all. We will have some pop quizzes and tests coming our way this week. We'll also have the opportunity to write some essays for extra credit too. I'm condensing this down to what I think will be the most influential aspects of the week. And this week on the presentation, you will have the chart, the aspect, the themes and the characteristics, and a prompt for the aspect so that you can positively work with the energy. Don't lose sight of your dreams this week. It's all still possible, and the hard work is what makes the dream so sweet when it's realized. So with all of that in mind, let's splash into the week. All right, so first up, we have a Libra first quarter moon bright and early on Monday morning. So I am presenting to you the Libra lunar phase family. As in previous episodes, I've indicated that I really like working with the lunar phase families because it gives you a much longer trajectory to set a vision at the new moon and then see it through over 2.5 years. So a new moon occurred on September 25th of 2022, and we are now at the first quarter of the Libra lunar phase family cycle. Sorry about that. So what we're looking at is the sun and the moon are in a square aspect to one another. And squares give us an opportunity to make a decision and take action. We're trying to turn a corner here. So as this lunar phase family progresses, you will see this story continue around March 25th of 2024 and then also December 22nd of 2024. And what you're looking at in this story is balance, quality, partnerships, beauty, listening, and civility. Those are all Libra themes. And so what you want to do is look at your astrology chart and what house does it fall in, and you're probably going to see a story start to unfold there. So I'm actually pulling up my chart, and where this is falling for me is in my 10th house of calling and career. So I will probably be sharing this out with more people, because astrology is part of my calling. So, just stay tuned to where you are making decisions, and where that Libra placement is in your chart. All right, next on Monday, we have Mars in Leo square Uranus in Taurus. So if we're looking at the chart, we have Leo right here with Mars, and then this red line indicates 90 degrees square over to Uranus. So Mars in Leo is action and war with the lion. He's courageous and playful, action-taking. And then Uranus is in Taurus, so unexpected changes, but Taurus is the bull who's very hardworking and luxurious. And again, squares ask us to make a decision that help us turn a corner. So you may make an unexpected decision on Monday that helps you take action to align with your heart's path and values. And the reason why I say that is because Leo, the lion, represents our heart's path and values and how we shine brightly in the world. All right, also on Monday, we have Mercury in Gemini, quincunx Pluto, and Capricorn. this is the last time Mercury in Gemini will make a quincunx to Pluto in Capricorn. He'll make another quincunx after he moves on into the zodiac, but it's the last one in his rulership in Gemini, which I think is pretty important, because, again, Pluto's in Capricorn until January 2024 before he goes back into Aquarius, and he won't be back for 240 years. So when we look at the themes, we're looking at communication and intelligence. A quincunx is potential that is difficult to realize. Pluto is transformation and pressure. So pressure in the earth is what makes diamonds and gems. And then our characters are the twins of duality and connection, and the hardworking goat of Capricorn, who is power-seeking and achievement-oriented. So I'm going to guess that on your transformational journey, it may feel difficult to communicate that out. Why? What part of it is difficult to communicate? And if you did communicate it, what would happen? How would you realize your potential? So maybe this is having a conversation with a trusted friend about a struggle that you're having. Maybe it's sitting down with a cup of tea or coffee and journaling about your own internal transformation and the difficulties that you're having with it. You know, you can totally communicate with yourself. You don't always have to communicate with others. But I would say if you decide to speak with someone, make sure that it's someone that you really trust and feel comfortable with. That way, you're not misunderstood or your words aren't misconstrued. All right. Also on Monday, it's a big day, and believe it or not, there are aspects I didn't even list for Monday. I am really looking forward to this. Mercury enters Cancer until July 12th. So we are looking at the planet of communication and intelligence in the sign of the crab, who is protective and caring. And he's going to be there for about 2.5 weeks. So Mercury is leaving his rulership of Gemini, where we have had a ton of information coming at us. I don't know about you, but I feel like I have been in an information vortex for the last 4 weeks, between the sun being in Gemini and Mercury being in Gemini. So I'm personally looking forward to this so that things can slow down a little bit in my life. But I want you to think about, how can you communicate over the next 2.5 weeks in a way that is very caring and nurturing to yourself and those around you? And how can you also be caring towards the ideas that you're having and nurture them in a way so that they can grow? You know, Cancer wants you to grow and be strong and, you know, have a happy life. So make sure that your ideas have a happy life, and just be compassionate and caring towards yourself, and then communicate in a way that's really positive with yourself and others. Okay, on Tuesday, we have the moon in Libra sextile Venus and Mars in Leo. So this is actually 2 separate aspects, but they're happening in pretty quick succession after one another. So the moon will sextile Venus first and then Mars. So I have the sextile represented here by this purple bar. Here's the moon, and then here's Venus, and here's Mars. So the moon is how we nurture and care for ourselves, also how we nurture and care for others. The sextile is a positive working aspect, so it's a great day to get to work. Venus represents your love and values. Mars is action and war. Libra is represented by the scales and is especially focused on equality and civility. And then the lion is action-taking, courageous, and playful. So how can you balance your emotions so that you can take action in a heart-centered way that aligns with your values? So here's a little astrology lesson for you. Venus rules Libra. So when the moon is in Libra, the moon is answering to Venus. And Venus is saying, hey moon, I want you to do X, Y, and Z. And the moon's going to say, okay, I'm going to do that in a Libra way. So Venus is saying, hey, I really want to shine in a heart-centered way that is fun and playful, but also courageous. And the moon is saying, great, I'm going to find out how I can balance that while we're also working with Mars, who's encouraging us to take action. Okay, that might have been a little in-depth. Just hang with me. The astrology loving nerd in me is just wanting to like go all out at it, and I'm also trying to make sure that this is a little bit more condensed down and more understandable. But just know that this is a positive aspect on Tuesday, and it's a great opportunity to work on how you shine with your emotions, your values, and how you're taking action. Okay, on to Wednesday. The moon in Scorpio conjuncts the south node while also opposing the north node in Taurus. So let's talk about why this is happening first. We have the moon right here. Oh gosh, you'll have to excuse me. I didn't update the chart for this. Basically, we have the moon and the south node right here next to each other. The south node and the north node are always polar opposites of one another on the astrology chart or on the zodiac. So when we have this, the moon, when it conjuncts the south node, it's going to oppose the north node. And when it conjuncts the north node, it's going to oppose the south node. So let's talk about the themes of our planets, and then we'll talk about the aspect and get into how you can work with the energy. So the moon is nurturing and caring. The south node is the natural skills that you came into this life with, but also what you're releasing from this life. And then the north node is your destiny for fulfillment. We have the Scorpion, who is represented by magic and also the darkest depths of our souls. And then we have the Bull, who is very hardworking, practical, and luxurious. So you can see why the Scorpion and the Bull are oppositional. They are across the zodiac from one another because their themes are very different from one another. So when we look at conjunctions where two planets are right next to one another on the zodiac, they're having a profound influence on one another. So the moon is bringing a lot of nurturing and caring to the natural skills that you have, but also what you are releasing from the deepest depths of your soul. And when we have an opposition, we're looking at a transformational energy to work together. Now, the opposite of this is working against each other. But we're going to go with the positive so that way you can work with it in a way that helps benefit you, right? So when we're looking at how do we transform the energy to work together, how can we nurture ourselves so that we can fulfill our destiny in this life, right? Okay. All of that together, here is how you work with the energy. What do you need to emotionally and physically release so that you can use your magic to transform your practical destiny? Okay? So this might be releasing either things from your space, going through your bookcase, going through some old files. It could also be journaling and releasing from your deep psyche what is no longer serving you. And it could be saying, okay, I've got this dream that I've been dreaming up for the last 5 weeks since the North Node and Jupiter met up. And how do I bring magic to that dream to make it happen? Okay. Next up on Wednesday, we have the Sun in Cancer trine Saturn in Pisces. So the Sun is shining in vitality. Saturn is structure, time, and responsibility. Our characters are the crab, who are protective and caring, and the fish, who are compassionate and intuitive. And then we have the trine aspect, which is a positive flowing energy. And y'all know I love to take a long shower on a trine, or get out my journal and just do some stream of consciousness journaling. Those are great ways to work with the energy. You could go to the river, to the lake, and just float. But I want you to think about, how can you responsibly give yourself nurturing so that you can feel the flow of the vitality in your life? So something else to think about, and this is just a personal reference, I used to be an incredibly flexible person. Like, physically, I was a very flexible person. I did dance and gymnastics as a child, and that stayed with me for a long time. I did yoga for a long time, and over the last couple of years, I had some different health things that I was trying to tackle, and it really changed how I worked out. And I'm now finding myself like really crunchy. Like, I feel like my body is not very flexible, like it's very stiff, and I'm trying to work back into it. Can you see how I've got Saturn and Pisces? I'm trying to dissolve structures that I've built over the last 5 years. So with this in mind, how can you flow? How can you flow in your body? How can you flow with your family? How can you flow in your work? These are all different possible areas where this might be hitting in your chart. Okay, on Thursday, we have the moon in Scorpio square Venus in Leo. So we've got our moon right here in Scorpio, and then Venus here in Leo. And the moon is going to be that nurturing emotions. Venus is love and values. Again, we have the Scorpion, who is the magic and the darkest depths of our soul. And then the Lion, who's courageous, playful, and action-taking. And then we have the square aspect, which is make a decision that helps you turn a corner. So we've already seen some squares and oppositions. Do you see why I said we were getting some quizzes and tests this week? What deep emotions are challenging you to be courageous in your decisions to follow your heart's path? What magic would you experience in your relationships if you made that decision? So I think that this is going to come up for me personally, because I've been really working on following my heart's path by getting this astrology video cast out there. And this, for me, this might look like sharing it more broadly with people in my life, or doing some posts on other social media platforms. It could also be sharing this with some of the people that I have been a little intimidated to share it with yet. But if I did that, how would it change the magic of how I'm communicating out to the world, right? How many other people could it help? We'll see. All right, also on Thursday, we have the moon in Scorpio opposite Uranus in Taurus. So again, we have the moon right here. The opposition is represented by this line that goes 180 degrees across the zodiac to Uranus in Taurus. So nurturing emotions, Uranus's unexpected changes, and our characters are the Scorpion and the Bull. We're also looking at transformational energy to work together rather than against each other. So this may start as a difficult energy where you feel like you're working against yourself or working against others. But always keep in mind, how can we bring it around so that we can work together for transformation? So your question for today, or your pondering for today, is how can you incorporate your deepest emotions with the practical changes you've been making to experience the magic of the earth? And the reason why I say the magic of the earth is because we're looking at the Scorpion, who is magic, but we're also, and he's a water sign, but then we're also looking at the earth, who is Taurus. Taurus is an earth energy. So I think about this as like, the riverbed, going, you know, just at the edge of the river, there's a lot of magic that happens there. There's little things living there, there's pebbles and rocks, and it changes pretty regularly with the flow of the water depth. So again, look at those deep emotions that you have. Look at the practical changes that you've been making in your values. And how can you bring them together so that you can experience the magic of what's right in front of you? All right, on Thursday, we also have Neptune retrograde happening, and Neptune will be retrograde until December 5th of 2023. He will be going retrograde from 27 Pisces to 24 Pisces. So you'll want to look in your natal chart for anything between 24 and 27 degrees. It's going to be activated by this retrograde. And retrogrades are times for internal revisions of the planetary themes represented by the planet going retrograde, okay? So Neptune is the cloudy planet, and he represents dreams, intuition, delusion, deception, music and art, and substances. We've spent a lot of time in the previous videos talking about Neptune's themes, but in this one, I want you to look at where is Pisces? What house does it fall in? Because this is going to be the area where you're called for revisions. 27 Pisces is where Jupiter and Neptune met up in 2022 to create a 13-year dream cycle. What do you want for yourself in 13 years? Well, now we're more at like 12 years. But this is an opportunity to revise some of that. And how can you revise, revisit, review the dream so that you can make it more realistic and make sure that it's following your heart's path? The reason why I say more realistic is because we have some heavy placements here in Taurus, when Taurus is that hardworking, practical, value-oriented sign, and then heart's path because we also have some heavy placements here in Leo, which is represented by the heart's path, okay? And also how you shine brightly in the world. I have an excerpt that I want to share with you from Christopher Renstrom's The Cosmic Calendar about Neptune retrograde. I felt like it was really on point. Let's see here. Neptune retrogrades can appear self-sabotaging. Actually, they're more regressive than destructive, which is why you need to treat them like a swimmer caught in an undertow. Resist the impulse to struggle because you'll only be pulled down deeper. Relax, center yourself, and focus on a positive intention. The panic will pass, and you'll soon come bobbing back up to the surface. So, don't get panicked about how you might be having to change your dream. Flow with it. Allow it to happen. All right, on to Friday. Now, the moon did have some aspects, but I wanted to focus on Mercury and Saturn today. So Mercury in Cancer trine Saturn in Pisces. Mercury is communication and intelligence. Saturn is structure, time, and responsibility. Our characters are the fish, who is compassionate and intuitive, and the crab, who is protective and caring. And the aspect is a positive flowing energy. So I want you to think about how can you compassionately communicate the structural changes you're revising. The reason why I say revising is because Saturn is a retrograde. That's why Saturn has this little bar next to the Pisces symbol. It shows that it's retrograde. And this could be about your dream. It could be about your family. It could be about your work. Wherever Pisces falls in your chart, you've been making some structural changes, and it's time to communicate that with the people that you love in probably at home, because Cancer represents the home, but doing it in a very compassionate and loving way. Also, because this is a trine, if you wanted to meditate or journal before you have that communication, that would be a really great way to help center your message. All right. Also on Saturn, Also on Saturn's day, Saturday, we have Mercury and the Moon making a conjunction in Cancer. So we are looking at communication and intelligence with the Sun, who is shining in vitality, with the Crab, who is protective and caring, making a conjunction. So they're right next to each other and they're having a profound influence on one another. I really like this because it's kind of setting up how we're going to continue communicating over the next several days and communicate in a caring way so that you can shine your light and vitality to those around you. This is a really important one because when you communicate and you're shining your light, you light up everyone around you. And so just embrace that. And, some people say, I'm letting my freak flag fly, or doing my woo-woo weird stuff. Like, whatever it is for you, just embrace it and allow yourself to shine at home with those that you love the most. Okay, also on Saturday, we have the Mercury and the Sun working together in Cancer to make a sextile aspect to Jupiter in Taurus. Mercury and the Sun sextile Jupiter. So we have communication and intelligence, shining our vitality. Jupiter is luck and expansion, and our characters are the Crab and the Bull. And we are looking at a positive working aspect with a sextile. So communicate to those you value about the dream you're working on so you can shine brightly in the world. So you're starting to see a little bit of a theme of communication. The communication might be hard, but as we come into Saturday, it's going to feel more beneficial. So we are kind of looking back to that Jupiter-Neptune dream that started around 5 weeks ago, and then also the Jupiter-North Node dream that was 5 weeks ago, and then the Neptune-Jupiter dream that started a year ago. Now is a time to communicate parts of that dream with people that you care about at home. Maybe you've been holding that dream close to your vest. I know I have been. I haven't been sharing this astrology stuff with everybody. But next Saturday is going to be a really nice time for me to share it out with some of the people that nurtured me and raised me and that feel like home to me. So I encourage you to do the same. Whatever you're working on, go ahead and share it out with those who nurtured you, raised you, or those that you're nurturing and raising. And on Sunday, we are going to wrap up the week with Venus in Leo square Uranus in Taurus. This is the first of 3 squares. The reason why is Venus is going to go retrograde in Leo in July. So we'll talk more about that later, but when that happens, Venus is going counterclockwise around the zodiac with almost everybody else, and retrogrades happen when Venus actually starts going clockwise around the zodiac. So from Earth, it looks like Venus is going backwards in her path. That's why we call it a retrograde, and then she will go back counterclockwise on the zodiac after she finishes up her retrograde. So she will come to this 21 degrees 1, 2, 3 times, and Uranus is going to be hanging out at 21, 22, 23 Taurus. So that's why we say this is going to happen 3 times. The first time kind of feels like getting hit by a train. The second time is more like psychological integration, and then the third time is actually being able to take action on it. So just be prepared. This is an uncomfortable aspect. It's not going to feel great, but we'll get through it, right? So we're looking at love and values, unexpected changes, the lion and the bull, and they are having to make a decision together that helps you turn a corner. So, the good news here is Venus rules Taurus. So Uranus is actually answering to Venus. Whatever Venus wants, Uranus has to do. So just keep that in mind, because that's going to be a nice way that this energy is going to play out for you. Your values around how you can follow your heart's path in a practical way is changing. Be courageous and allow the change so that you can get to work. That's going to be the positive way for you to work with this energy. Don't fight it. Don't try to keep doing things the old way. Uranus is inventive. He wants you to go in the new way and be innovative about this dream. And he's going to answer to Venus and say, how do you want to do it? And she's going to say, I want to shine. I want to be playful. I want to have fun. I want to be courageous. Allow that change to happen. All right. Thank you so much for tuning into Becoming Astrology and sharing the astrology this week with me. Tell me in the comments below where these transits are hitting in your chart, and what is the big dream that you're working on, and what are the decisions that you're having to make. I appreciate all the time you take to like, subscribe, and share this video with your astrology friends and family. If you'd like to be notified when next week's video posts, hit that notification bell and be the first to know. Many blessings to you this week as you transform on your astrological journey to who you are truly becoming.